Hi, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm kind of diagnosing stroke fixing a fault on the Nissan. Since the tyre debacle, the noise that was coming from the car has disappeared and I can now hear a clunking noise. I've investigated all of the it's coming from the front left of the car, and I've looked at all the suspension components. I've yanked with pry bars and everything that could be loose. About the only thing I can see is this bar, which this fastens at the bottom where the control arm fastens, and then at the top it bolts to the bodywork. And on the one that we've got, you can feel at the top here, and the rubber bush is like cake. It pretty much comes off in my hand. Now I've ordered these off eBay. They purport to be the correct ones. I got the bolts from Nissan. I ordered 2 new bolts because I thought I don't really know what state the old one's going to be in, and immediately I'm concerned because that doesn't look like the right bolt for that. So I'd like to think that Nissan know what they're doing. I'm not so sure that these are the right ones, but we'll have a look on the car and then see what we think. This video might be short. Okay, so we've got the car up in the air and I've got the wheel off. This is the arm we're talking about. So here's the wheel, and this is like the front subframe stabilizer or something. And you can see on the camera that this bush here, I mean, it's all crusty and dropping to bits. So my thinking is that when the car is going over bumps, this is just clanking. And at the bottom, it's bolted in with the same bolt that holds the front of the control arm on. So we've had experience taking that off a couple of times. This is a 16mm. I'm just hoping when this comes out it looks the same as the one that Nissan have given me, and that the inside of this looks as big as this one does. It looks wrong, but we'll take the bolt out and see what happens. Well, the bolt's out, and I'm glad I bought some new ones because this is very, very rusty. As unlikely as it looked, it does look to be right. Look, I can get my finger in there and the bolt is the right one. It's thin and floating in bloody space as far as I can see. But I mean, this is done up quite tight. I think it's 78 foot-pounds, so yeah, just seems weird. So that one's undone. What we need to do now is undo this bottom one, which runs from here, that nut there, through there, it goes through the control arm front, let me get my finger in it, through this control arm front piece, and then on the back here is the nut, and quite a long thread, so we have to wind that all the way out. The awkward bit is winding it all the way back in again because everything moves. So we'll probably get it through this new stabilizer arm quite easily, and then there'll be quite a little bit jiggly. And in the past what I've done is I've used the little Aldi inspection camera and look down the hole and then move it with a screwdriver, and then you can get it in. But we'll struggle with that later. We'll get it out first and then see what happens. Right, we've got this bottom one undone. I'm just swapping ratchets, excuse me. So it's a 17mm bolt, or then the wrong way around, just excuse me while I swap it. 17mm on the bolt head, and I've got a 19mm spanner. Oh, the arm's fallen on top of the camera. I've got a 19mm spanner just stopping the nut from rotating. So I'm going to wind this. You probably have to wind it all the way out because with the pressure on the bolt it's usually quite tight, and you end up kind of ratcheting it all the way out. But I'll come back again once I've got the bolt out. So here we go. This is the stabilizer arm that I'm replacing. You can see the state of the bushings on either side. They're quite degraded, and there's the bolt that holds the control arm and that arm in. So now it's a case of fit in a new one, which thankfully they've labelled up. There's L for lovely. So I'm going to fit this one. I've bought both sides because I don't see the sense in just doing one. You know, these are seemingly pretty easy to do, and the other side is probably in a similar condition. So I'll put that bolt back in. I might put this top one in first loosely because that's easy to do. This one is usually the fiddly one. And then we'll resume when I've done that. Well, I'm still in a bit of a state of shock because that bolt went straight back in with tiny little bit of persuading on the control arm with my screwdriver underneath, just jiggling it about. Went straight in. 17mm that side, 19mm on the bolt, on the nut that goes on the bolt. And that one are now in. Now this one, to line it up with this top piece, what I did was I put my screwdriver in there and just held it in the right place until I get enough nip on it to hold it. Both of these are about, I think one's 78 foot-pounds and the other's 73 with the manual. But both around 80 foot-pounds to be safe. And that's it really. I'm going to swap the car around and do the other side. And I'm really hoping this is what's been causing the knocking noise. In fact, when I put this wheel back on, I might take it for a little test drive with one of them done to see if it's gone. Well, here we are on the other side. I have to say, I fired the parts cannon at the wrong part of the car. It hasn't cured the bump. So I'm going to have to continue trying to wiggling all these things and see if I can find what it is that's bumping up and down. The scary answer would be there are some bushes for the subframe, the front subframe, that are anchored to the body back here. That's the nightmare scenario, because taking those out, you have to take all the front subframe off, which the steering rack is connected to. I think it's kind of this piece here. And then there's two rubber bushings which you pretty much have to battle with to get out, and then put the new one, press the new ones in, and then reconnect all this lot back up again. I'm praying it's not that. It is doable DIY, but it ain't fun. Anyway, these were definitely worth changing, and thankfully, because I got these off eBay, these were £54 for two, whereas Nissan wanted £150 for two. So, you know, you pay your money and you get ripped off. I mean, these look perfectly good. They're nice heavyweight steel. I've got no doubt that they're perfectly good enough for a 2010 Nissan Note. So, we'll carry on and do this side. You know the score. 16mm there. Take the bottom bolt out. 17mm and 19mm. Do them up to about 80 foot-pounds. And then go back to trying to find out what you were fixing in the first place. Right, so this is why it's worth doing both sides and showing you both. Because Nissan handily put this piece of metal in the way on this side. So now when I'm doing the new one up, I won't be able to see to align it. That's handy, isn't it? And also, I can't get it out this way, so I'm going to have to take the bottom out somehow and force it out. And yeah, that's in a pretty state as well, isn't it? All cracked rubber on there. So we'll find this one in the hole and then put the two bolts back in. Join me then for more excitement. Well, I think that's it for this video. I think I'll call this firing the parts cannon and missing, because even though those two brackets needed changing, they weren't the issue that I was chasing. You know, the rattly noise on the left hand side is still there, and I'm going to have to take the left hand wheel off and try and find something else that's loose. Could it be anti-roll bar bushes? Could it be the back bushes on the subframe? Yeah, that would be a real joy. So join me in the next video. I hope you have enjoyed this, even though it didn't turn out the way I hoped. It's not a happy ending as far as my problem is concerned, but please like, subscribe, join me in the next one, and we'll see if we can find this dreaded bouncy clunky noise that's coming from the front. Thanks for watching.